everyone, this is Michelle, and thank you for joining me on my channel. I am here with you today with a process video for Peartree Cutfiles. So I am designing with them for this fall term. I'm very excited to be working with them. I worked with them in the past, just a great company to partner with. And so I am using a cut file from their September releases called September Documented. And so I am using some pictures from a trip that my husband and I took to San Francisco last year, last September. So I wanted to use a travel collection. So I chose this 49 and Market Everywhere, which I really, really love. And I still have a couple of great pieces left. And so I had this torn strip from a previous layout, and so I thought I would add it on top of this ticket paper that is just gorgeous. And so I am using the Tim Holtz Collage Medium to glue it down just so I don't have any edges lifting throughout this process. And then I'm going to use some white gesso to protect my paper from the liquid and mixed media that I'm going to be adding there in the center. So I find Braille's really easy to use as far as to add gesso, and then I use my finger to kind of feather it out and soften it. Now, since it's a travel layout, I just wanted to add bit of travel themed stamping, and so I'm going to use a uh, what, globe stamp. I guess it's more like even of the States, which is perfect since it's San Francisco. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp at that bottom right and then the top left. All right. And so far so good. I pick out a couple of sides that I think will work with these colors. So I'm using Broken China, and or it might be Speckled Egg. I think it's Speckled Egg. And then I believe the other one is Salty Ocean. And I'm just going to use the packaging technique to add some of that color uh, onto the gesso. Now, a lot of this is, as always, going to be covered up. And so at this point, I'm just adding color. I'm not really um, thinking that I'm adding art at this point. And so I'm kind of doing it in a bit of a haphazard way. But I do add some splatters as I go, just so there is some depth of color as well. All right, and so I am going to add a little bit more color as the first layer has dried, just to give it a little bit of depth. Going to add some water, let it run around a bit. And I think that I am done with that layer of color. So I have my cut file. Like I said, I'm using September Documented. So I've cut it out in blue and I'm going to back it with orange. So because I really want my cut file to stand out. It does have that cute little butterfly up at the top right. So I use a mauve pink out of that Everywhere collection to so my butterfly is a little bit different than the rest. So now my cutting machine, I don't know if my blade was a little bit dull, but there was a bit of white from the paper, so I did go over all of that blue paper with Salty Ocean in order for it to look really clean and sharp. And now I have this cut or this stencil that I'm going to use just to add a little bit of texture to the layout. It's a bunch of dots, and I have sprayed the back of it with pixie spray so it sticks, and I'm just going to add it here or there where I think it might show and where I think my embellishment clusters are going to go. This is one of my absolute favorite cut files. It is from the Crafter's Workshop. So I highly recommend it because it just adds a little bit of texture without really uh, without being real distracting. So, all right, so I am going to add just a bit of white um, frame along my layout. And so that's what you see me doing there. And then these are some of the pictures that I'm going to be using. Now I'm going to use 6 pictures, which is a lot for me. And so, but these were all pictures. Like I said, we were in San Francisco and we did a hop on, hop off bus tour. And so these are all pictures from the tour. Now the legs are like seriously popping out of one of the windows. It's a bit of a sculpture on Ashbury. And so that's what that is. And then we saw the Golden Gate Bridge and some areas down by the wharf. I really recommend hop on, hop off tours. It's a really great way to get an idea of the city layout. And so I wanted to add the uh, date and where we were at. And so I just have some little letters from my stash that I'm adding to this uh, embellishment piece out of the collection. And I didn't, I was too lazy to even cut. So I just tore part of it off. And so I then went and took it to my sewing machine and I sewed across my San Francisco letters and my dated 2023. I often do that with smaller letters just to make sure they stay. So I've done that. I'm going to add that under my title as a bit of my subtitle after I pull the string out and get all that figured out. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and add some tape to hold that thread down and keep it away from my layout. So if you haven't been to San Francisco, I totally recommend it. And I know that some cities have earned reputations, deserved or not. We had nothing but a good time in San Francisco. It was gorgeous, lots of fun things to see, no safety concerns whatsoever. So if you've thought about San Francisco, I highly recommend it. All right, so I have taken my little pictures and I have backed them on that mauve paper. Uh, and then I am going to go ahead and adhere my little subtitle down there. And because I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to go. And then I'm going to start gluing down some of these other elements. And something is like wrong with my voice today. Been very froggy, so I apologize. It's going in and out, and I'm trying to drink lots of fluids, and I don't know if it's some sort of fall cold coming on. I hope not. All right, so I have my cut file glued down, and now I'm going to start figuring out what kind of embellishments I want to add. So, since there was a butterfly in the title, I want to go ahead and use some of the butterflies that came with the collection. Um, Other things that came with the collection would be these um, photo film strips. And so I'm just going to cut it in half and definitely use one at the top, and then going to do a little bit of auditioning in different places. Now, of course, I did such a good job gluing down that subtitle that I can't fit anything underneath it. So then I think, okay, well, maybe I'll just do it above the title. But I have it in my head that it is going under this subtitle, because I just like the idea of framing the whole um, pictures and title and subtitles. I'm going to force it under there. It is going to happen. So yeah, so you'll see me do that and get it in there. And I am happy with that. You know how somebody just get something in your mind and you just have to make it work. So, all right. So I've added some of the um, embellishments that I'm thinking about using, and I want to make sure that that cut file is really straight. As it's gluing, it feels like I knocked it around a little bit, and so I make sure it's straight so it can completely dry. And now I am um, adding a bit more butterflies. So I liked the 49 end market butterflies, but I felt like I needed to add some of that same blue. So I had I think it is a close to my heart butterfly uh, die set. And so I went ahead and made a couple of butterflies that could go with the 49 and market chipboard pieces. And now I am going to take a look at what I want to add over by the butterfly. Um, so I really love working with travel collections, but I have just a dependency on using flowers on my layouts. And so when there aren't any flowers, I don't know what to do with myself. And so trying to figure out what I like. And I really do like how this turned out. I ended up adding a couple pieces of luggage, a couple of tickets up there, and uh, a little bicycle, binoculars, and but it's really funny how you just get into the habit of using familiar things, and then you have to shake yourself up a little bit, and so that's what is happening with me with this layout. So I am going to go ahead and start adhering some of these pieces down. Now, down there below, it felt like there was a bit of space under where it says San Francisco 2023. And so I just take one of, in the film strips, one of the gut pieces. I don't know if it's really intended to be used, but I'm going to use it. It has like just a little blue border around it. And so I um, layer that on top of the blue piece, and then I use some foam tape to put together on top of it. And so that completes that bottom section with that time of our lives chipboard piece and a stamp piece of ephemera. So now I'm looking up by that butterfly. I've added my bike, my binoculars, and I use the word experience up there. And then I am looking up above my pictures at my final little embellishment cluster. I'm not going to do a whole bunch up there, just because it's not. First of all, you're going to look up there because of those legs, right? So it doesn't need a whole lot to draw your attention. But I do have the butterfly up there. I have an ephemera piece of houses because houses are, of course, a big thing in San Francisco. Of course, I have that film strip that I used, and then I am going to use this word piece that says an eventful day. I have also, or will be, because I don't see them on there yet, adding some pearls to my butterflies. And I think that will be the end. So thank you for joining me. Here are some close-ups. You see those pearls. Check out Peartree Cutfile if you are needing any cut files. And thank you for joining. Have a great day.